Questions of Doom.
Hello and welcome back to another Questions of Doom. In this series, as ever, I attempt to answer questions that you send my way using the archaeosoup@gmail.com email address, as displayed on the YouTube channel homepage, but as you'll also see at the end of this video. In answering these questions by video, it is my fond hope that the answer is not only useful to the person who has asked the question, but also anyone else out there who may be wondering the same thing. Now, this is the first question of Doom in around about 5 weeks or 6 weeks or so. And in that time, I've actually received many interesting questions of Doom, many to do with research topics or cutting questions about archaeology, this kind of thing. But one of them really stood out and happens to have coincided actually with a newspaper article which is sort of doing the rounds on Facebook today at least. And this is a question that many archaeologists I think may have found a bit surprising. I know I did at first, but I thought it was worthwhile tackling. So, here we go. It goes like this. Dear Mr. Soup, this question may seem a little strange, but please bear with me. What is the minimum amount of effort I can put into my archaeology degree? Which topics should I study in order to get a GED pass, or good enough degree pass? I should explain, I am attending university because there is nothing else I can do. To be honest, I want to travel the world and see what life has to offer, but my parents have pressured me into getting a degree. Until then, I am not my own man. I don't particularly believe that a top-notch degree will help me in life, at least not as I want to live it. I chose to study archaeology because it seems interesting enough and not too challenging. So, how should I proceed? How can I get this over and done with? Cheers, Tom. Now, I've actually changed Tom's name because I didn't want to see him mobbed by a group of angry archaeologists, because that at first is a rather bizarre, possibly even offensive question, in particular to send in to an archaeology YouTube channel, as it were. Then again, as much as I don't understand the question, I suspect many people out there won't. Many people will actually be going, but you don't understand the opportunity you're being given, it's education, it's great. I would also say it's a brave question to ask. Tom is clearly unhappy, and he's being honest with himself, and indeed attempting to find an honest answer to his quandary. So, I would commend your bravery, Tom, as much as I don't understand it, but we'll come back to that in a bit. Now, you've mentioned that you don't necessarily think that a top-notch degree will help you live life as you want to live it. It's not necessarily going to help you in your personal trajectory through life, as it were. But initially, again, my reaction was, well, that's not true. Education's always a good thing. It always will help you and make you a better person and make you see the world in new, exciting ways. But there is a weight of opinion in society, because more and more people are going and getting higher education, or higher education degrees rather, that higher education is common now, that it's commonplace, and then it's being watered down, essentially. That a degree isn't what it used to be, and therefore people who have degrees aren't necessarily all that and more. This is not only a broad society opinion, it seems, but also yesterday, or in recent days, Lord Professor Robert Winston, a mustached academic and TV personality here in the UK, was quoted in the Times as saying, "Undergraduates who spend their days lurking in the library in pursuit of a first-class degree may have more to regret than their pallid skin and lack of friends." He went on to say that he deliberately avoids taking on first-class graduates in jobs and research positions, this kind of thing, due to their narrow approach. So there's someone who's at the top of academia. He's in the House of Lords, he's a professor, he's a well-known television personality, and he's saying that actually people who overachieve in academia are narrow and unthinking and probably lack creativity and this kind of thing. Now, personally, I find that point of view rather bizarre and actually, frankly, a little bit offensive. But I suppose what I'm trying to say, Tom, is you're not on your own. There are many people out there who think that. Now, you're also not on your own in thinking that archaeology and anthropology, whichever one it is you've gone for, again, I've been vague so you don't get beaten up, is just an easy option. Oh, well, it's interesting enough. I like Indiana Jones. I can go and study that for 3 years and then get on with my life. But I'm sorry to disappoint you, Tom. In answer to your question, the short answer is there is no easy route through archaeology. You can certainly not pay attention, but then you won't get a GED degree. What you'll get is something below that, and then you'll end up disappointing yourself and your parents, and you'll have a terrible time for 3 years. Archaeology, as I've said in previous videos, is near unique in various academic pursuits, in as much as it encompasses so much, because we reconstruct entire worlds from the past. Or in anthropology, you're studying an entire breadth of human behaviour and humanity. And in that sense, there are many expertise, many fields of specific knowledge and interest, which if you try and pursue it, they will expect the best of you down that path. Another way of saying it is to say you can't pick a topic that people haven't looked at before and assume that if you just float along you'll be okay. There'll be someone who is interested in that particular field who will expect you to write good essays, who will expect interesting questions and answers from you, and will expect you to do well. So there's no easy route. There shouldn't be an easy route, at least. And if there is one, I'd like to know which one it is. But certainly in my experience, if you are on one of these courses, you will be challenged, no matter what you look at, to think about it. And that surely is the point of going to university. So I suppose what I would say is I give you the same advice I give to anyone who's looking to study archaeology or anthropology. And I'd say just pursue the topics which begin to stand out to you. Things which you think, well, that's kind of interesting, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. Or, at the very bare minimum, I suppose I can live with studying that for a couple of years. So start to look at things that interest you. Now, you may well find yourself surprised. I'm going to assume, Tom, I'm going to try and preempt you in 2 or 3 years' time. You may well find yourself surprised. You may well find that actually, just by starting to nibble away at this topic of archaeology or anthropology, you actually find a nugget in there that you really want to hold on to and that you do take further. You may well find yourself going on to do more study beyond that, looking into it in even more depth. But if you don't find yourself surprised, if you really are, after 3 years, just going, oh, let me out of here, please. What I would say actually, why not look at archaeology as a great way of preparing yourself for travelling and indeed seeing the world. Archaeology and anthropology, after all, are about other ways of life. In the past or in the present, they are looking at what the world and what humanity has to offer. So in some ways you could see archaeology as preparation for these travels that you want to make. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you have to just drag your ass through in order to get out there. This could be the beginnings of you trying to figure out, well, what do you want to see? Is there a particular historical site you want to visit when you travel? Is there a particular group of people you want to go and live with for a short while as you travel? This could be your travel catalogue, a 3-year-long travel catalogue for seeing the world. That's another way of thinking about it. There's also, as well, there's a jokey bit of advice that I would give, and that is, if you want a bit of a laugh, and this is in no way a serious piece of advice, there's a book called The Bluffer's Guide to Archaeology, The Bluff Your Way in Archaeology by Paul Barn. And Paul Barn is a wonderful archaeological writer. He writes lots of really good books, ranging from sort of high-end academic kind of texts all the way through to sort of coffee table publications with wonderful images and pictures in. But in this instance, he's written a rather slightly tongue-in-cheek guide to bluffing in archaeology. But maybe that could be an approach. Maybe you could try and see the humour in archaeology. Try and approach archaeology, given that you don't necessarily sound as though initially you are taking it all that seriously. Why not try and see the humour in the people that do take it incredibly seriously? And in doing so, you may actually find another angle, another way of looking at topics which people have been scratching their heads over and glaring at for hundreds of years now, or well, certainly for decades, but depending on how you class archaeological activity. You may well find actually that by not taking it as seriously as some, you may actually find another way of thinking about the past, of thinking about these topics. You may actually help someone solve their problem by having a relaxed approach to archaeology. So maybe the Bluffer's Guide could be a way into being relaxed and having a bit of a sense of humour about archaeology. So there you go. I suppose those are my thoughts. I don't want to give you specifics on how to just coast your way through an archaeology course, because that's not why I'm doing what I do. And it's also, frankly, it's not. It's the kind of question and which if I was to answer directly, I would feel as though I was simply helping you to live a life half lived for 3 years. So, but what I would say is I would end on just saying, find your way, find a way which sort of starts to fulfill you, whether it is finding something in archaeology that interests you, seeing archaeology as or anthropology as a preparation for seeing the world, or finding the humour in archaeology and then maybe challenging archaeologists in how they view their own topic. Find something which you can hold on to and at least commit yourself to that for 3 years, even if you can't commit yourself to becoming the next Lewis Binford. Now, if you do stick with it, I would end on saying good luck. Genuinely, good luck to you, Tom, and I hope that you are able to find something which sustains you over the next few years. That said, though, there is an alternative, and perhaps you need to talk to your parents. I assume that you're in your first year. It sounds like you are. And it's not too late to have to talk to your parents to say, look, I don't want to let you down, but I don't want to do this. And maybe either re-enroll next year, or take a gap year, take a year off, and think about what you do want to do. If you do want to go to university, if you have to go there, what else could you study? Don't just pick something because you can live with it for 3 years. Pick something that may well enthuse you and that could actually help you. I mean, heck, you could even study rainforest management and go and travel in South America. So there you go, those are my thoughts for you, Tom. Thank you so much for being honest enough to ask the question, and I do hope that people out there will have helpful comments and thoughts to suggest in the comments below. So I'm going to now open up to the comments below, and I sincerely hope that this answer has been useful and challenging you to try and see the best in the coming years, and try and grasp onto something which you can live with, I suppose, and which actually will help you be a better person over the coming years, rather than just, as I say, dragging your ass through 3 years. So there you go, guys. Please do feel free to comment below. Once again, thanks to Tom for asking such a brave question, and until next time, take care. Bye bye.